Benito Mussolini, Adolf Hitler, and Joseph Stalin. Those were the three names that struck fear in my heart when I was 16. I It wasn't for the reasons of the actions that they committed, although they were atrocious, and I wasn't a fan of those either. Um, it was for the fact that the teacher I had told me that they could happen again. Um, and I didn't know what to do with that information when I was 16 or 15, somewhere in there. I must think sophomore in high school. But there were two kids in my school who would be classified as Nazis then. Um, and I eventually was kind of forced, I think that same year, to make friends with them in my weightlifting class. And I got close to them, and I learned that while they were saying those things, they didn't actually feel that way. They were doing it as a joke, or for most of them, it was the only sense of community that they had. Their home lives were terrible, their upbringings weren't great, um, and that was how they felt like they could belong. And so, in seeing that with them, I wanted to know if that's how those people felt doing that, then how does this happen again? And so I did something that I'm not super proud of, but it gave me a lot of insight into where we are now and how we got here. Um, so I made a Facebook when I was like 14, 15, and eventually I changed my profile picture around the time we were studying Hitler to a picture of Adolf Hitler. Um, Not because I believed in what he was doing, not because of any of that, but just because that's what we were studying, and I wanted to see the public's reaction, at least the people I knew's reaction. I guess my public. Um, Nobody said a word except for one person's mother, who was offended because it was Hitler, and she asked me to take it down and change it. So I removed that picture and changed it with a picture of Joseph Stalin. And then I told her daughter to ask her again if she had a problem with that, and she said no because she didn't know who it was. That to me was a problem. All three of those men were terrible men. We should all know who they are by name and by photo. Donald Trump belongs in that category of people. There are many others who probably do too that I don't know of. I got branded as the Hitler boy because of that throughout high school. And I didn't share any of those beliefs. I did it to learn. And learn I did. Most of the world's population, at least here in America, knows nothing about what a dictator really is. And that's how we got where we are. Um, that was my first experiment done in high school, but it wasn't my last. Um, in my AP statistics class, I think I was a junior, we had to do a project, and I wound up doing one for driving and like distracted driving. Other people did. Can you taste the difference between Coke and Pepsi, or how many M&Ms of varying colors come in a bag? um, I chose something a little more practical, um, something that I hoped would help the people leaving the school, especially considering that one of my classmates actually crashed a car. I can't remember if it was that year or shortly after. Um, but I, to set it up, I found a website for a reaction time test. You just click when the light, flashes or changes green. Then it measures how fast you click. I had them do it, I think, 10 times without any distractions, and then I had them partner up and just without a phone, without anything, just talking. You can talk about whatever you want, whether it's the weather, gibberish, um, what's going on outside, the politics, whatever. Because let's face it, driving is random. You, there are things that are set, but you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what people are going to say or do, and you need to be prepared. And I had all of them do it again, and every single one of them had a much slower reaction time just with the talking. Um, I don't know. Both of those things are, I guess, how we got where we are, with people not caring about each other, with people not knowing why the world is the way it is, with people not recognizing what a dictator is and the signs that we're heading towards it. I'm afraid now it might be too late, and whoever's left is going to have to deal with that. But in the end, it's probably not going to be my problem, and that's unfortunate. But here's something in hopes that we can change it. So for anyone who watches this, your homework would be learn about those three: Benito Mussolini, Joseph Stalin, and Adolf Hitler, and then compare them to Donald J. Trump. See how closely they resemble each other, and see where we're headed, because it ain't pretty.